somebody did a look at our entries on novelists who've won a major literary prize. And they looked at the male novelist versus the female. And the male novelists had longer and higher quality entries. And why is that? Well, it's not because I know hundreds of Wikipedians. It's not because these are a bunch of biased, sexist men who are like, books by women are not important. It's like, no, actually there is a gender kind of breakdown of readership. There are books, like hard science fiction is a classic example. Hard science fiction, mostly read by men. Other types of novels, more read by women. And if we don't have women in the community, then these award-winning, clearly important novelists may have less coverage. And not because anybody consciously thinks, oh, we don't like what? A book by Maya Angelou, like who cares? She's a poet, like that's not interesting. No, but just because, well, people write what they know. They write what they're interested in. So we do think diversity in the community is really important. And that's one area where I do think it's really clear. But I can also say, you know what? Actually, that also applies in the political sphere. Like to say, actually, we do want kind and thoughtful Catholic priests, kind and thoughtful conservatives, kind and thoughtful libertarians, kind and thoughtful Marxists, to come in. But the key is the kind and thoughtful piece. So when people sometimes come to Wikipedia outraged by some, dramatic thing that's happened on Twitter, they come to Wikipedia with a chip on their shoulder, ready to do battle. Yeah. And it just doesn't work out very well,
And there's tribes in general where I think there's a responsibility on the larger group to be even kinder and more welcoming to the smaller group.
Yeah, we think that's really important. And so, oftentimes people come in and, there's a lot, when I talk about community health, one of the aspects of that we do think about a lot, that I think about a lot, is not about politics. It's just like, how are we treating newcomers to the community? Mm-hmm. And so I can tell you what our ideals are, what our philosophy is, but do we live up to that? So, the ideal is you come to Wikipedia, we have rules, like one of our fundamental rules is ignore all rules, mm-hmm. which is partly written that way because it kind of piques people's attention, like, oh, what the hell kind of rule is that, But basically says, look, don't get nervous and depressed about a bunch of, what's the formatting of your footnote, right? So you shouldn't come to Wikipedia, add a link, and then get banned or yelled at because it's not the right format. Instead, somebody should go, oh, hey, yeah, thanks for helping, but, here's the link to how to format, if you want to keep going, you might want to learn how to format a footnote. And to be friendly and to be open and to say, oh, right, oh, you're new and you clearly don't know everything about Wikipedia. And, sometimes in any community that can be quite hard. So people come in and they've got a great big idea and they're going to propose this to the Wikipedia community and they have no idea. That's basically a perennial discussion we've had 7,000 times before. And so then ideally you would say to the person, oh, yeah, great, thanks. Like a lot of people have, and here's where we got to, and here's the nuanced conversation we've had about that in the past that I think you'll find interesting. And sometimes people are just like, oh, God, another one, who's come in with this idea which doesn't work and they don't understand why.
You can lose patience, but you shouldn't.
And that's kind of human, But I think it just does require really thinking, in a self-aware manner of like, oh, I was once a newbie. Actually, we have great, I just did an interview with Emily Temple Woods, she was Wikipedian of the Year. She's just like a great, well-known Wikipedian. And I interviewed her for my book, and she told me something I never knew. Apparently, it's not secret. Like, she didn't reveal it to me, but is that when she started at Wikipedia, she was a vandal. She came in and vandalized Wikipedia. And then basically what happened was she'd done some sort of vandalized a couple of articles, and then somebody popped up on her talk page and said, hey, like, why are you doing this? Like, we're trying to make an encyclopedia here, and this wasn't very kind. Yeah. And she felt so bad. She's like, oh, right, I didn't really think of it that way. She just was coming in as, she was like 13 years old, combative and, like having fun and trolling a bit. And then she's like, oh, actually, I see your point, and became a great Wikipedian. So that's the ideal, really, is that you don't just go troll, block, fuck off. Yeah. You go, hey, like what gives, which is, I think, the way we tend to treat things in real life. If you've got somebody who's doing something obnoxious in your friend group, you probably go, hey, like, really, I don't know if you've noticed, but I think this person is actually quite hurt that you keep making that joke about them. And then they usually go, oh, you know what? I thought that was okay. I didn't. And then they stop. Or they keep it up and then everybody goes, oh, well, you're the asshole.
Well, yeah, I mean, that's just an example that gives me faith in humanity, that we're all capable and wanting to be kind to each other. And in general, the fact that there's a small group of volunteers that are able to contribute so much to the organization, the collection, the discussion of all of human knowledge it makes me so grateful to be part of this whole human project. That's one of the reasons that I love Wikipedia. It gives me faith in humanity.
No, I once was at Wikimania, our annual conference, and people come from all around the world, like really active volunteers. I was at the dinner. We were in Egypt, at Wikimania in Alexandria, at the sort of closing dinner or whatever. And a friend of mine came and sat at the table, and she's sort of been in the movement more broadly, Creative Commons. She's not really a Wikipedian. She'd come to the conference because she's into Creative Commons and all that. So we have dinner, and it just turned out I sat down at the table with most of the members of the English Language Arbitration Committee. Mm-hmm. And they're a bunch of very sweet, geeky Wikipedians. And as we left the table, I said to her, it's really like, I still find this kind of sense of amazement. Like, we just had dinner with some of the most powerful people in English language media, because they're the people who are like the final court of appeal in English Wikipedia. And thank goodness they're not media moguls, right? They're just a bunch of geeks who are just like well liked in the community because they're kind and they're thoughtful and they really, sort of think about things. I was like, this is great. Love Wikipedia.